Hi guys, it's Chidera Peters here and welcome back to another episode of the Fix My Finances series where I review a real-life money situation of an actual person, spot the money leaks, and also provide action plan for them to improve their finances. And before we go on, one thing to state here is that we're not here to judge, okay? This is a judgment-free zone. We're here to learn, reflect, and grow. So today's episode is a particularly special one. When I saw it, I was like, oh, this is really different and I would like to review this on YouTube because this time the problem for once isn't spending too much, is actually having too much savings from a place of fear, so much so that it has become a problem. So let's get right into it. So today we're reviewing the finances of Tunde. Tunde is a 31-year-old man who lives in Birmingham. He's a software developer and he earns about £4,200 every month. This is after tax, okay? He's single, he has no kids, and what makes his case unique is that every month he saves more than £2,500 savings. He has over £50,000 in savings. He has zero debt, but somehow he still feels guilty when he spends and he still feels financially insecure about the future. Let me know what you're thinking. Just hearing about Tunde, what are your first thoughts? What are your first impressions? Because literally when I saw his submission, I was like, oh, this is such an interesting situation. So why is this? Why does he feel this way? In his exact words, what he said is, I know I'm saving, but I still feel broke. I want to feel financially safe, but I don't know what actually that looks like. So it's quite an interesting case. Now let's break it all down. So we're going to look at his income, his expenses, his savings, and his debt. For his income, his main job, software developer, £4,200 a month after tax. He does freelance work. He said occasional coding projects where he earns about £150 to £200 a month. It varies. So if we average the freelance work at £150, his monthly income comes into about £4,350 after tax. This is what hits his account every single month. Okay, now let's look at the cocoa of the Mara. This is where it gets juicy. Let's look at his monthly expenses. Now, the first thing I'll say here is that when I had a glance of his expenses, I'm like, oh my god, Tunde is frugal. Okay, he only does essential spending. He lives in a 2-bedroom flat in Birmingham, which is shared with a friend. So it's a 2-bedroom flat but shared with a friend. Rent, he pays £900 in a shared modest 2-bedroom flat. Council tax, £95, Birmingham Band B. Gas and electricity, £80, which is split with his flatmate, so this is his own share. Water bill, £27, Wi-Fi, £25, which is shared. Groceries, £180 a month. He says he buys in bulks, he avoids takeout. Gym, £27 a month. He says it's a budget gym that he doesn't use it regularly. Subscriptions, he says Spotify and Netflix only. He pays £25 a month. Now, black tax, family support, he sends £200 every month to his mom and his younger brother. Eating out, he said £20 that he avoids social events to save. Like maybe if he's invited for a birthday or something like that, he tries to avoid it because he wants to save money. Clothing, zero. He literally put zero. He said he hasn't bought anything in months. Personal care and toiletry is £25 to cut his hair. That's it. Miscellaneous, he put £30 here. So the total cost here is about £1,679. So for the first time in a long time of all the Fix My Finances episode, this is one where this person is currently living below their means, way below their means. So he has extra money. So leftover money here is £2,671. He literally just saves this money. That's all he does with his money. Now let's look at his savings breakdown. How does he have £50,000 in savings? So one thing I can tell you here is that looking at his money, what I just saw was Tunde hoards money. He keeps money without a strategy. He's just saving for the sake of saving. And another interesting thing is that a lot of this money is just sitting in low interest savings accounts, literally accounts that are not adding anything to this bulk of money that Tunde has. So savings, he has a Barclays everyday saver account. He has £48,000 sitting in that account. He has a current account, which is where his salary account, where he receives his salary. He has about £4,100 that sits there every month, or he increases, here and there. Then he has an emergency fund. It's a savings pot. He has £5,000 in that. He doesn't have any lifetime ISA, no stocks and shares ISA, so he's not investing. He's not planning to buy a house. His total savings comes up to £57,100, which he has. And still, even with this huge savings, he says he feels financially insecure and he still feels guilty to spend money. I find that very interesting. There's a lot to unpack with Tunde's finances, which I'm going to get into in a minute. Now let's look at his debt. Tunde is completely debt free. free, okay? No student loans, no credit card, no car finance, no buy now pay later. His debt is 0, okay? So he's in a very good situation, to be honest. So now let's go into the money leaks. But before we do that, don't forget to leave a comment down below. You know how we do it here. We give our feedback, but we try not to be judgmental. So leave a comment down below for Tunde. Do you wish you are the one that has 50,000 pounds, like just sitting down there doing nothing? Let me know what you think of his finances so far. Leave a comment down below. So now for the red flags, we're going to address two things. The first thing I want to address is money mindset, okay? We're going to talk about money mindset. We don't realize how our perceptions of money really impact how we approach money, how we spend, how we save, how we invest. Perceptions, like the things you experience either as a child and the things you've experienced growing up to, now that you're an adult, it really has an impact on how you approach money. The first thing I want to say regarding Tunde's mindset is that he doesn't have a spending problem. What he has is a scarcity mindset. You can see that Tunde approaches his finances from a place of scarcity. He's worried that even though he has 50,000 pounds, he's still worried like he doesn't have enough. He still feels like he's not financially secure. He feels like if he spends, everything is gonna go to waste. That is rooted in something which I probed further and I'm gonna share light on in a few. So his biggest financial leaks here are not necessarily his expenses, but his missed opportunities. The fact that Tunde has 50,000 pounds sitting somewhere, he has money to do a lot of things. He's missing out on opportunities, financial opportunities to grow and build his wealth by just keeping that money there doing nothing. So his own is not so much a spending problem, it's more the opportunities that he's missing by just keeping that money aside. And also this is what we call financial hoarding, where you're just hoarding money, you're not saving. So here are some of the things that I noticed, with the back and forth emails we had with Tunde. He had a lot of limiting beliefs with money. He has this, he said, if I spend, I'll be poor again. There are times he said that when in our emails, it was like, I need to keep everything just in case. I don't deserve to enjoy my money. So the red flags here, the first thing is the fear of spending. He experiences guilt when he buys things, even basic things. He hoards cash. He literally has 50,000 pounds in low interest accounts. And when I asked him why, he said he's come from a home where one bad decision wiped out everything. So I asked him about investing. Okay, why don't you invest? He says investing is too risky. So he has no investment. Also, another red flag is no enjoyment. He literally does not enjoy his money. He's saving money for the sake of saving. He's just keeping money and he's not enjoying his money. He's a young man. He should be enjoying, living life, shaking his body on a yacht in Dubai. He rarely goes out. He doesn't even buy anything for himself. Another thing is he doesn't take action. He said he's watched a lot of financial content. Actually, he's watched my videos a couple times, which is why he reached out. But the problem is that he still doesn't take action after watching these videos. Now, I'm sure you're also wondering what essentially is driving or fueling Tunde's perception of money. So when I dug deeper, the real cause came out. He said, my dad lost everything when I was 14. I've never recovered from the fear of that happening again. His family went from comfortable to broke when his dad lost a business. So it's like the father made a bad financial decision with the business and his business ran under and they became broke in the twinkle of an eye, and then they had to live with relatives. He said they had to sell their house and they had to move in with relatives. That trauma shaped how he sees money. He sees money as something that is fragile and unsafe. So basically he's living out of this trauma. He's living out of a place of having everything to having nothing in the blink of an eye. And this kind of gives us context as to how he approaches his money or why he approaches his money the way he does. So now you know how we do it. Next step is action plan. I'm just going to share tips that I think would help Tunde fix his finances. For the fixes for Tunde, it's going to be in two folds. I'm going to talk about mindset fixes. We need to work on, Tunde's mindset. And the second is practical fixes. So the very first thing, the mindset fix, is that Tunde needs to realize that money is a tool and not just a trophy or a vault. Saving money is good, but money is meant to be used. And accumulating money out of fear is not where we want to be. We shouldn't let money control us. Instead, we should control money. We should use money as a tool to build the life that we want, to have the experiences that we want, to give us peace of mind. That's the first thing I think Tunde needs to reorient himself with, is that money is a tool. It's something you use to achieve things. The second thing is to identify where that fear started. I mean, it was after we probed for that back and forth emails before he finally opened up about, what his dad went through and all of that. Identify that the cause of this problem is that your perception of money is warped because of the experience that your dad had with his business. The next thing here is to understand that there's a clear difference between saving money and hoarding money. Tunde is not just the only one in this bucket, right? There are people that just save money for the sake of saving. Why are you saving money? You don't not know. You're just saving money because you've always been taught to save, or you just know to save. There's a difference between saving and hoarding. When you're saving, that money has an intention. When you're hoarding money, you're just keeping money for the sake of it. That money has no purpose, no intention, no direction. It is an aimless money. Saving is strategic. When you're saving money, it's a strategic approach. But when you're hoarding money, it is out of fear. It is fear-based, okay? The next thing is that safety is not just cash, okay? I feel like Tunde is thinking that, oh, the more money he has in his savings account, the safer he feels, okay? Safety is not just cash. Real safety is diversification, where you have your money in different things. You have your money either in pensions, you have your money maybe in an investment property, you have your money in stocks and shares, you have your money in real estate. Diversification is where the real safety is, okay? Because just keeping cash alone, especially in Tunde's case where he's not keeping it in high interest accounts, he's just losing money over time because inflation is eating away at this cash that he just has saved up in one place. Safety is not just cash. That's one key thing to take away from here. Lastly is that spending is not wasteful. We need to approach that mindset. You are not wasting money by spending money, okay? The problem here is when you spend money without intention, okay? But you have to spend money. Recall the first point I said, which is money is a tool. So spending money isn't wasteful. It's how you spend. The intention behind the spending is what's very important, okay? Now let's go into the practical fixes, the things I think you need to do or take away from this video today. Now the very first thing is we need to set clear goals and savings buckets. Currently your money is just sitting down there, it's not doing anything. £48,000 is just sitting in your Barclays account. Literally there's no purpose from what you share. So we need to identify what are your goals. You need to sit with yourself. What do you actually want to achieve in this life? Do you want to buy an investment property? Would you like to grow your money? What are your goals? Because let me give you an example. Assuming I'm the one who has this money, here's an example of how I'll probably split this money. The first is emergency fund, okay? You already have £5,000. Me, I'm probably gonna take that up to £10,000 and just have that saved away. Because remember, your emergency fund should be 3 to 6 times of your living expenses. And currently your living expenses is about 1,006. So yes, about £9,600. So I'm just going to add money to my emergency fund to make it up to £10,000, and I'm going to put this in a high interest savings account or a high interest cash ISA so that it's constantly getting money from interest. One of the cash ISAs that I use that currently has a high interest rate is linked in the description box below. Probably going to move like £20,000 to investment property. So I'm trying to get an investment property. In your instance, maybe do you want to buy a house that is a goal of yours or something you would like to achieve? If not, if that's not something, what about investing some of this money in real estate that will now be paying you out in rent, and you can be getting income from that rent? So in my case, I'll probably put like £20,000 towards an investment property and build off from that to buy the property. Then I'll probably put like £3,000 towards travel. Tunde, I don't know, that's what I'm saying. You need to determine what your goals are. Free yourself from the shackles of not wanting to spend money. In my case, I would put £3,000 towards traveling and do some trips this summer. And then lastly, there's also going to be tech upgrade. I'm a content creator. Currently I have tools that I want to buy, like some cameras, some lights. I'm probably going to put £2,000 towards that and upgrade some of these things that I need for work. My point is, you need to create goals and then split that money into different things so that every money has a purpose, right? Rather than just keeping the £48,000 or £4,000 that is in your salary account, than just keeping that money there for the sake of it. You need to assign purpose to your money. The second thing I think you need to do that is a practical tip that you can take away is create a pot called guilt-free spending, okay? So whether you create this pot in Monzo, I don't know if you have a Monzo account or a savings pot that you have in any of your app, where every month you move £100 to this account and you spend out of it. The most important thing is to spend out of it. Now, one way to do it is what I have tagged joy spending, okay? Where you have a rule for yourself. I feel like someone like you that struggles to spend money, having rules regarding how you spend money is going to help you feel safe, okay? So one of the rules you can have is every Friday after work, you're going to buy something for yourself that is under £10. You can start with as little as that so that you can start breaking away from that guilt of spending money. So like every Friday after work, you spend £10 on yourself. So whatever that looks like, if it's takeaway, if it's a drink, if it's a snack, whatever it is, you spend that money. And the most important thing is to stick to that rule and ensure you spend that £10 or whatever amount you allocate. You spend that every single Friday so that you can gradually break away from that mindset of spending being wasteful, if that makes sense. Another practical tip for you is for someone who, you said you feel investing is risky or is a gamble. I feel like you need to improve your knowledge about investing, okay? Because cash flow is great and you have a good savings habit, okay? What we need to focus on is how to build wealth from that. You already have a good starting point. How can you increase your wealth faster? One of the best ways is to invest your money, but you need to overcome the mindset or the blockers you have with regarding investing. So what I'll say is learn more. I have a lot of videos about how to get started investing as a beginner. Make sure to check out those videos. Start building stamina and understanding as to how investing works. I think one of the best ways to grow your money and feel even safe, depending on your investment strategy, is to invest your money and let that grow for you. The next one I'll say is to consider therapy or coaching around money trauma. I feel like beyond whatever I would say here, you might need professional help with a therapist, okay? So you can unpack some of these fears and concerns that you have regarding money, because it's actually deep, okay? It's not a shallow something. This is something that is deep and has really affected how you approach your finances. So it's something I think you should consider. The next thing with this is to seek accountability, okay? Beyond just working with a therapist, you want to seek accountability, where maybe you work with a money coach every month. You look at your finances together, you explore your money fears, you explore your worries. It may be an accountability group, a membership group, like being in communities where you're actively learning about money and seeing what people are doing with their money could help you gradually break away from the things that are holding you back. I think the goal here is to normalize talking about money. One thing I want to say here is that I currently am working on creating like a private community where we can talk about things like grow money, create money goals, work towards it together. It's going to be a private membership community. If this sounds like something you'll be interested in, there's a link in the description box below to join the waitlist for this membership. Hopefully I'll be able to kick it off this year, but if you're interested, link in the description box below. Alternatively, if you're like Tunde and you would like to speak with someone regarding your finances, I've currently opened up some of my one-on-one bookings. I rarely open this up, so I'm sure the slots are gonna go out real quick, but like I have about 4 slots for this month. So if you want to have a one-on-one conversation with me for 45 minutes, we look at your finances, do a rundown of your finances, your expenses, your money situation, and also give you practical strategies or tips on what you can improve better. Literally 45 minutes, you get to pick my brain, we get to talk, have a chill conversation, and you get like a summary afterwards. Link in the description box below to book that call. Last but not the least fix for you Tunde is to introduce a monthly check-in. So one of the things that came out from my conversation with Tunde is the fact that he checks his bank account every day. I think that's something you might want to stop, because I feel like it's just increasing your anxiety. Try to make it a monthly thing. Put the date in your calendar and call it monthly check-in, where once a month you sit down, you review your finances, review your expenses. This just removes the pressure or the anxiety you're going to be getting from your money every single day, okay? It encourages you to be more intentional about your money rather than trying to be in control every single day, if that makes sense. All right guys, so there we have it. We have come to the end of this video. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to leave your comments, your thoughts, your observations. Are there anything from Tunde's story that stands out to you, his situation, or are there ways in his financial situation that you can actually see yourself? Are there things that resonate with you? Leave a comment down below. Leave your heartfelt and your non-judgmental feedback for Tunde. He's definitely gonna read every single one. So let me know, have you ever struggled with being too frugal, where you struggle to spend money? Let me know if you fall into this category, if you've experienced this before. What are some of the limiting beliefs you might have regarding money? Leave it all down in the comments below. Till next time guys, thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.